We didn't even have to prep Taylor. He's just dancing
No.
on his own.
He is.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Geek the F Out. I am Lucha Johnny.
And I'm Kayla, and we are joined by the esteemed, the infamous Taylor Morden. Welcome to the show, sir. Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
And we will be talking about Lost Season 4 and breaking down the episodes for y'all. And music's done.
Yep.
Yes, if y'all didn't know, Taylor may or may not have directed a few things and is in the process of creating a documentary about Lost, which will be coming out in less than a month from today, which is crazy. I probably shouldn't remind you.
I should probably go. I should get back to editing.
So yeah, we really appreciate having you here because we know it is crunch time for you guys right now. So yeah, but very excited to talk about Lost. It looks like Allison has joined us so far, and I'm sure some other people will join. Oh, it's Ralph.
StreamYard.
Hi, Ralph.
Oh, hi, Ralph.
Hi, Ralph.
And Mark. Hi, Mark.
I know those people.
Good people.
I used to think there were a lot of Lost fans. Now I think there's just 7 of us. This is the same 7 people every time.
Is that counting me now, or do I make 8?
You got to finish it first.
That's true.
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
people. A lot of people. I'm sure you've heard. Get to the end and are no longer Lost fans.
Well, then
I've seen the end already.
Never Lost fans to begin with.
They were never real at all.
I saw the ending before I saw anything else.
Well, that doesn't make sense to me.
No. But he was still willing to watch the whole thing, so I think that says something, at least.
Says something.
Says something.
Don't know
what.
Because I didn't understand the ending at all because I had never watched anything else.
Right.
I know. I just ran into my friend from college who we were roommates senior year, and I was like telling her about the documentary, and we were talking about Lost, and she's like, yeah, it was all like purgatory, right? I'm like, girl. I was like, how did we get there? Like, I thought I explained it to you because I remember I think we watched the finale together in college, and I had my encyclopedia that I have under my computer right now, and I remember like showing her and like talking her through it because she did not understand it, and I don't think I said anything about purgatory or like, I don't know. I can't remember. It was a long time ago now, a little over 9 years ago now, but I was just like, oh no. So I had to explain it to her again. She's like, I think I need to rewatch. I'm like, I think you do too. Because that's not quite it, despite what the public wants you to think.
One of the themes through all of our coverage has been it is a much different experience being able to just binge than it was, being there from the beginning. Yeah. I had the same kind of thing with Game of Thrones because I watched Game of Thrones up until like the end of the 3rd season and then just fell off and didn't start watching it again until after it ended, a couple months after the series finale. I did a binge of everything, and whereas I remember all the criticism and everything for the finale, I was like, it was all right. It wasn't that bad, I didn't think. It's different when you spend years of your life, week to week to week, devoted to a fandom versus being able to sit down and finish a 120 episode series in a month. You know? So it's different perspectives.
Yeah. And it wasn't just, we would watch it in real time and wait a week. But it wasn't just that, because we would do things like this every week for 6 years, right? There would be podcasts and message boards and theories and I mean, before podcasts, there was just talking with your friends at school or work
Water cooler.
about this show. And so I think somebody in our documentary says something like, if you watched it for 6 years and you were at all engaged with that stuff, you spent thousands of hours talking about, thinking about, participating in Lost. And so, yeah, then the ending holds a lot more weight than if you just binge it now. And it's like, what is it? Like 80 hours total is the whole thing, all 6 seasons. I did the math once, but I forget. It's 118, like 40 minutes.
Something like that. Yeah, it definitely does when you've invested so much time in it, and especially with Game of Thrones, like before the last season.
Yeah.
I reread the books, I rewatched it a million times, and then I was online on YouTube watching every like spoiler, or not just spoiler videos, but like theory videos. And I think because so many people had such great ideas and theories as to what was going to happen in the last season, and they weren't that at all, it was just an extra big letdown for sure. I'm like, wow, they could have done all this great shit, and they didn't. They just shot the bed. But anyways, we're here to talk about Lost season 4.
Is this a Game of Thrones podcast or what?
Yes. We do tangent times all the time, so
it's the closest contemporary alternative that I can think of to like what the experience would have been.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right, so season 4, episode 1, the beginning of the end. This is a Hurley-centric episode, and now, like at the end of season 3, we have flash forwards, and so we have Hurley getting into a car chase with cops because he sees Charlie. He gets arrested by Ana Lucia's partner and put back in the mental institution when Lance Reddick shows up, and I'm just gonna say Lance Reddick because love him and rest in peace, to question him if there was any other survivors. And then Charlie shows up again to the hospital to try to convince him to go back. And Jack visits Hurley and apologizes. Or Hurley apologizes to Jack for going with Locke and says that they still need to go back. Meanwhile, on the island, the beach people find out it's not a rescue boat and that Charlie died, and they make their way back to Jack and everyone. Jack goes after Naomi, who is somehow still alive even though she got a knife in her back, while everyone else goes back to the beach. Hurley gets separated from the others and stumbles on the cabin, and he sees a man in the window, and then it disappeared, and of course he runs into Locke, which that scene was really comical, where he's like screaming and closing his eyes and screaming, closing his eyes, and then he sees Locke and screams and closes his eye again, and then he's like, oh, it's just you. And everyone reunites. There is a very sad moment between Claire and Hurley after he lets her know about Charlie. And Jack beats up Locke and literally tries to shoot him, but he can't die, which, especially with the Michael episode this season, clearly it was not Locke's time to die. And everyone splits up between Jack and Locke, and the helicopter drops off Faraday, who Jack and Kate run into at the end of the episode. Dun dun dun. Also, hello. So Johnny, your first time watching this through, what were your thoughts?
Bitch and Camaro. I was trying to piece out who exactly the Oceanic Six were. I'm like, Jack, Kate, Sawyer, Hurley, Locke, and who's the last one?
Locke's not one of them.
Locke's not one of them.
Well, I didn't know that at the time that I wrote that note. I was trying to figure out who it was. I think Hurley, I was like, one of my notes is, want to bet Hurley still has all his money somehow? I don't know if we ever find out, but I feel like he's an institutionalized millionaire. I said, what the fuck, Hurley? He threw their walkie into the ocean so they couldn't warn Jack that the boat isn't Penny's. I didn't understand that. Let me see. Same thing about the cabin. I thought Charlie slapping Hurley shouldn't prove anything because Dave was able to hurt Hurley and he was imaginary. But that was when Hurley was on the island, and now Hurley's not on the island. But it's still... And we do find out that Charlie was in Hurley's head. And then it starts raining on the island, and it's always an instant downpour. I still think the weather is rigged somehow. I realize that it might just be a production thing. Like, they can't just make it slowly start to pour down rain. Like, there's an on and an off.
Once again, that is just how Hawaii is.
Yeah. Florida, too. When I lived in Florida, it was like clockwork. 3 p.m. every day, thunderstorm.
It's because of the humidity.
You said humidity, and I'm like the
Humidity.
I was thinking of Eddie Izzard. You get the vacuum. And then Jack visiting Hurley. Hurley accuses Jack of seeing if he was going to tell. Tell what? What is he talking about? Maybe we'll find out. Those are really the only things that stuck out to me that you didn't mention already.
Yeah.
This is the I Heart My Shih Tzu episode, right?
Someone wears that shirt.
Hurley, when he's at the... I feel like that's this episode.
Oh my god, I might have missed it.
Sorry, I don't remember
Dang
Lost very well.
No, you're fine. I mean, you remember that, and probably I just wasn't. I watched this 3 times this week, and I still couldn't tell you. It was also mostly on my phone and in 1.5 times speed on Netflix, so...
Wow, as J.J. Abrams intended, right?
Yep.
Talking about binging.
Yes.
Jeepers.
It might have been... I don't know. Now I'm gonna have to go back and scrub through and see. I know, right? Someone is going ham on their moose toy. I found it funny when Rose was telling Claire to treat Charlie real well when she gets back. And I was like, this is both hilarious and very sad at the same time.
Yeah. My quick Google foo says the I Heart My Shih Tzu start is episode season 5, episode 2.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
I feel like I remember that shirt though, and I haven't watched season 5 yet.
Yeah, it's memeable. Yeah, so then this episode is really just I'm one of the Oceanic Six. I'm one of the Oceanic Six.
Yes.
That's the big thing, and then you're supposed to wonder who are the Oceanic Six.
Yeah.
And if you don't get to stream it and binge it, it takes like 8 months to find out.
Yeah. So that's those people you named before, that's who you predicted would be the 6 at the time.
Yes, Jack, Kate, Sawyer, Hurley, Lonk, and someone else. I didn't have a
Okay.
6. This is an interesting.
I think we
I
knew.
wasn't confused. I think we knew.
Mid-season 3, there was an
3,
announcement that there were going to be 3 more seasons. It was the only time I've ever heard of that in a TV show. They're like, there's going to be 3 more seasons. And they told us how many episodes, too, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And then season 4 is the writer's strike episode, or writer's strike season. So we got like 1 fewer episode than we were supposed to. 1 or 2 fewer.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 16 episodes per season, but this season 4 was only 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was around that, but I was not confused, I think, because of that and all the podcasts and things I listened to.
Right. People were paying attention.
There had been talking about, you were saying about it being renewed for multiple seasons. Farscape had been renewed at the end of the 2nd or 3rd season for 5 seasons, but then at the end of the 4th, they were able to option out and it got canceled. Sci-fi. But we got the Peacekeeper Wars miniseries, so at least they were able to wrap it up somehow.
I think Lost was the opposite. It was the network would have preferred they do 10 or 20 seasons, and they were fighting to get out of it. They were like, you have to end it. It's a mystery show.
They did that with being human on Sci-Fi as well. Like, Sci-Fi wanted more seasons of it, and the crew was like, look, we can give you one good season that ties everything up and gives a like satisfying ending to the show, or we can give you 2 crappy seasons. And they opted to do the one good season. So
smart.
Okay, episode 2.
Yeah.
She's muted.
Yeah.
I have a few more notes, Johnny.
Oh, yeah, you didn't go through yours. Go ahead.
Sawyer is concerned about Hurley, and I was like, see, he's changing. He's getting better. And I spelled new wrong. I said, see, Kate knew what trail to follow. Huh, Johnny? She's not that bad. She's useful. Johnny really doesn't like
apparently
Kate.
Somehow she knows how to track, so
she's exactly as good at tracking as she needs to be per episode. Like,
yeah.
Well, Locke's not around. I guess Kate can do it.
And also that they can track in the rain. I'm like, how in the fuck do they do that? Anyways, Locke, when Locke says if they can't talk it out, and I was like, he's one to talk. He literally threw a knife in Naomi's back and he's telling others to talk it out.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And, this is the episode where we get Sawyer's iconic survivin' that sounds very Scottish. When he's telling Kate, he's like, I'm doing what I've always done. Surviving. I can't do a Scottish accent, so I'm not even going to try. And also, I will say, when Rose is like, I'm not going anywhere with that man, I was like, big red flag. If Rose doesn't want to go somewhere with someone, you know you shouldn't, because Rose knows shit. I would follow her anywhere. Yes. Anyways, all right. Moving on to episode 2, Confirmed Dead. And this is all of the helicopter crew / science crew centric. And so these are actually flashbacks where we see footage of them finding the Oceanic 815, and Faraday gets really upset watching it, but he doesn't know why he's upset. And we see Miles talking to a ghost to find money and drugs. And Charlotte, no, you can't eat that. Charlotte is at a dig site digging up a polar bear with a Hydrodharma collar on it. And then Lapidus realizes that the pilot on the Oceanic 815 was not the pilot because his wedding ring wasn't there. And we find out he was actually supposed to fly 815. Crazy. And then finally Naomi with Lance Reddick talking about the team / mission, and she doesn't like the team. I know. Meanwhile, on the island, Locke takes people on a detour to the cabin, and they find out that Hurley has also seen it. And Locke finds Charlotte, puts her tracker on Vincent so Jack and people find it. Ow. Okay. And then Ben shoots Charlotte, but luckily she's wearing a bulletproof vest, and it reveals he knows, or Ben knows all the names of the rescue team and who they are, and they want him. And apparently Ben has a man on the boat. Okay, goodbye. Faraday tells Jack that rescuing them isn't their primary objective, and they find Miles, and apparently Naomi saying, tell my sister I love her, was a code that, she was in peril. And Juliet and Saeed show up with guns to help. They find Lapidus in the helicopter, and they find out they're there for Ben. And that's the episode. My only note is, so glad Vincent is still there.
That's your only note?
Priorities.
That's a great
Yes. Yeah, it is a good episode. What do you think of it, Johnny, watching for the first time?
I'm sure they confirmed it, but my first thought was like, how do you know for sure that that's 815? Was that the only oceanic flight that ever vanished? Like, how do they know? They found a plane in the ocean and they just I'm guessing they found stuff that told them that it was that. But for some reason, I wrote that down, incredulous. And I also wrote, "Who's Dan?" And I'm like, "All right, that's Faraday." I was like, "Who the fuck is Dan? This is Dan, dude." I also wrote all 3,224 passengers. I feel like that's a lot for a plane.
324.
I think I hit the 2 twice.
2,000 is way too many. That's way too big of a plane.
Even 300 is huge.
Yeah.
And what was like so I forget his name. The guy that I think they were alluding to had some kind of like psychic powers, had like a device that just looked like a CD cleaner. Like, do you remember from back in the day, like to remove scratches from your CDs, you'd put it in the thing and
which is smart. Like if you have real psychic powers, it's smart to like bring a thing and be like, no, it's because I have a magic thing. Then nobody will like report you to a psych ward, right?
I was wondering why he used that, because I don't know, I was curious if maybe he was just doing it to create noise, so whoever else was there.
Yeah, it was totally one of those.
But I thought it had like a attachment to it.
I mean, they do all
like
sorts of stuff. They connect all sorts of stuff and like kit bash things together.
Yeah, wait till we get to the guitar tuner prop. That's this season, right? I think it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
There's another great.
I remember what episode.
Household object prop.
I might have it. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I might have it in my notes. But yeah, it's just fun. I'm like, that's totally a CD skip remover.
Or you can use it to talk to ghosts. Works both ways.
Use it to talk to ghosts. Yeah, I was also confused why we got a flashback to Miles. Like that was odd. Like, so we're flash forwarding the 46, 48 according to Hurley later.
Well, we got flashbacks of all the science people.
Yeah.
Did we?
I believe. Yeah. I believe this episode was like they were supposed to get individual episodes, and this was what happened because of the writer's strike.
Interesting.
So there would have been a Miles episode.
Was the writer's
way?
Was the writer's strike season 3 and 4? I was under the impression it was season 3 this whole time.
It's season 4.
Oh.
I thought it was season 3.
Nope. It's why season 4 is short.
I think everybody was up until this point. I thought everybody was telling me it was season 3.
I thought it was season 3 because season 3 had some. I thought
I'm sure you know. You've just spent like the last year of your life engrossed in.
There's a lot of info in here. It's not all correct. Season 3 is when they negotiated the end.
2007 to 2008 was the writer's strike. Began in November 2007 and ended February 2008.
So
that would be season 4 then, because season 3's last air date was May 23rd, 2007. So I assume they were done making it after they aired.
Especially
so they have no excuse for Strangers in a Strange Land or expose.
Well, they didn't have their end date. Right, so they had to write all these episodes, and they're like, I don't know, I guess Jack's tattoos or whatever. Like, that was a 23 or 24 episode season.
It's interesting because I have the Wikipedia page pulled up. It says season 3 had an average of 17.8 million viewers, which is the high for the show. Mm-hmm. It had been about even 15.6 and 15.5 for 1 and 2, but then season 4 dropped to 13.4. Not that 10 million people through the whole run of the show is bad, but that's wild. 17, almost 18 million people peak average viewers for season 3.
Crazy. What was I gonna say about that?
And somehow I was not one of them.
Nope. You missed out, Johnny, but you're here now, and that's all that matters. Do you have anything else about? this episode?
Dan says he thinks the light is strange. It doesn't scatter quite right, and I was like, because
That was fun.
my whole theory this time was like purgatory and whatnot, and season 3 poked a lot of holes in that theory. Like they're all already dead. So now I'm like, maybe it's all a simulation.
Like the Matrix.
Like the Matrix. Yeah.
We got a fun story. I think it's from this episode. This is the episode where they show the pilot, like the photo of him, and he's got the mustache, and they say like it can't be him because he's not wearing his wedding ring.
Yeah, Lapidus says that.
Yeah, and this won't be in the documentary, but we talked to Greg Grunberg, who plays the pilot, and he was as surprised as anyone to see that mustache. They just photoshopped it on and didn't tell him, which we thought was such a great, like, what a weird thing
Random
to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it was a big character that you had to disguise. It was like no one remembers what the pilot looked like anyway. If anything, this makes it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at that time. I did though, because I was like, "Oh, it's him from like Heroes and
Because
Star
I
Wars
just watched
and like,
it like 2
everything."
weeks
Yeah,
prior.
yeah,
Right.
and like, well, and I also
At the time,
recognized
Heroes was still on at the time, so he was a known dude.
But yeah, but when I watched the pilot episode and saw him, I'm like, oh, it's him. Like I would have remembered. So the mustache was funny.
It was hilarious.
It's interesting how, like you guys are saying, no one would have remembered and blah blah blah. But like, it's funny how little details like that are things that would get picked up, you know, when it's watched later, when it's watched in a binge, technical binge. Like I'm binging seasons, not the whole show, because I paused. I haven't watched any of 5 yet.
But you went through 1 through 4 real quick.
I did. I got a little out of control. But that speaks to the quality of the show overall. That I was hooked the whole way, except for whatever the case.
Bless
may
you.
be. That one episode.
He really doesn't like that episode.
It's
from season 1. It's the Kate episode
where they go
we
swimming and
out-
find the
Yep. Yeah.
the little airplane.
Ralph said he was surprised when I said that was it is still my least favorite episode.
Do you have a little
this
one?
little
Oh
airplane.
my god.
It's still my
course.
least favorite episode, and Ralph was surprised because he said he doesn't think
That's
anybody had
still
ever said
you've
that.
seen all of season 3, and that's still your least favorite episode.
Yep,
Right?
100%.
Wow.
Stranger in a Strange Land, I can understand. It's dumb. Like Jack's just a fucking moron through that whole episode. But like it wasn't. I didn't think it was bad. I thought Jack was an idiot, but I didn't think the episode itself was bad.
But like,
Whatever the case may be, was just 100% pointless.
wow. What about that episode where Locke is like on a weed farm?
Oh yeah.
I thought that was
Further
interesting.
instructions.
Okay. That one's okay.
I wanted to know what they were up to. They had me hooked. I'm like, what's the mystery? What are they doing in there?
Yeah.
And it's weed, but yeah.
Interesting.
I think rewatching it, I look when I first watched it, I felt the same way as Johnny, but rewatching it, I'm like, this is dumb.
It's also
throw up.
again, it's a different thing when you're watching week to week and you get as you go and you get hyped for the episode when it comes up and it's kind of meh. It's a bigger deal than going from episode to episode. Oh, this
Right.
one's eh. You know?
Yeah, if you can just
Well,
watch
there's-
the next
I'll
one
just
right
watch
away.
the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a different vibe. We were all sitting with it for a
He's
week.
the
being
Monopoly
like,
dog. He's a Westie.
Yeah, you have
This
too
is
much
different
time.
than the one I was holding before.
You have too much time to dig into it and go, well, wait, this doesn't make sense. And that doesn't make sense. Well, and in this episode they said this, but in this episode they said this. Which one's right?
Like Charlie saying he couldn't swim, and then all of a sudden he's really good at swimming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. That was a huge thing. Anyways, shall we move on to episode 3, or did you have anything else to say, either of you?
I don't have
Episode
nothing
3.
else that you didn't cover, except the pilot
Okay.
runs into the cow.
Okay. Right.
Sounds like
episode...
something from a fairy, like, and the cow jumped over the moon, and the pilot runs into the
Yeah,
cow.
and he
Runs
was
into the
like,
cow.
he was so focused on it too. He's like, I saw a cow. I'm like, Cool.
Also, I think it's a bull.
Yeah, it was a bull.
So
Mm.
he
You're
didn't see
wrong.
a cow.
You're wrong. All right,
It's
episode 3, The Economist. This is a Saeed-centric episode, which features flash forwards of Saeed is now a hitman. He's become Sawyer, essentially conning a woman to get to her boss, and he tries to warn her, but she shoots him, and he was really being conned to get to his boss, and so he ends up killing her, which ends up being Ben, and he gives him
What?
more names to hit. Dun dun dun. You have a thing on your butt. On the island.
That's what they said?
John and co. show up to where the cabin should be, but it is not there. Kate, Saeed, and Miles show up to the barracks and find Hurley was left behind, but it was a trap from Locke. And then we also have Desmond joins the helicopter crew. Saeed comes back to Jack and Co. with Charlotte, and Kate has stayed behind. Desmond, Saeed, Lapidus, and Naomi, I spelled her name so wrong in these notes. Naomi's body, I put Namoy's body.
Oh,
go
Leonard
back.
Nimoy.
Yeah. Go back to the boat on the chopper. And Faraday does an experiment which shows that there is a bit of time slippage with the island versus the boat.
Crazy.
That's the episode. What were your thoughts, Johnny, as your first time watching it?
We're one step closer. My Oceanic 6 is now Jack, Hurley, Kate, Saeed, Sawyer, and I don't know who the sixth one would be. I have 5 that I'm confident about. 6, I'm not sure. I'm like, Saeed has to kill Elsa and he's falling for her, isn't he? Talked about the payload.
Did you
Saeed
notice
finding...
she kind of looked like Shannon?
I don't think I did. Saeed finds a secret room with money and a bunch of passports. One has Ben's picture and says Dean Moriarty. And then, yeah, Saeed's after her boss is going to follow her to kill him. She shoots Saeed, called her boss and told him she would bring him, and then Saeed kills her. Oops. And then I said, is that Ben? What the fuck?
It's an accurate summary. To a T.
I feel like Tally. I have no idea what's going on.
My only
Don't forget
notes
to
were
bring a towel.
Sawyer says he has nothing to go back to, and I was like, what about your daughter, sir? Like, conveniently forget. Like, I know Cassidy said that, like, no, but I think after all of this, she would probably change her mind. And also, Saeed's perm was permin, big time, in the flash forwards. I don't know if you noticed that, but it was very perfect looking, and I was like, it's definitely permed to some degree.
His perm was permin.
His perm was permin. Do you remember anything from this episode, Taylor?
I remember that Ben twist being a big deal in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was a big fan of Saeed episodes in general, and so this was a cool one. It was so, like, had different vibes. It was like a action thriller thing or whatever, where he was Assassin Saeed. I thought that was very cool. And then, that's all I remember is, Saeed's a badass again. And
as always,
holy shit, Ben is his boss. That's crazy. Because then you're like, how did Ben get off the island? Is he one of the Oceanic 6? That doesn't make sense. Like, it was just so, this whole season was so, like, because it's short and so, like, dense. It was just mystery after mystery. Like, the things from the book. I remember being obsessed with, like, oh, the time is different from the boat to the thing, and if they don't go on the right bearing or whatever in the helicopter, and they're not going to find it, and time and light works differently here. It's so crazy. What's up with this boat? What's up with the island? And then, you know,
It's really,
it was just a really cool time to be like obsessed with a weird show.
yeah, it's really dense. So much happens. There's a lot of back and forth. It's hard to track who's with who at different points, like especially when I had to make my notes. I'm like, I would start saying people, I'm like, oh no, that person is with that person, or
Right.
like with that group actually.
Yeah, the groupings.
Yeah.
And also the flash
A lot
forwards were
happens.
just such a cool thing, you know, like it was
Yeah.
a different, like it basically made the islands a flashback where you're wondering like, how do they get from here to, okay, so we start to see where people end up. How the heck do they get there from here?
Yeah.
I feel like later in the
weird.
season you get real like holy shit, I know this person gets off the island, but on the island they're in
How?
this weird spot. How the fuck did they meet up with the
It's weird though, because you never, at least for me through this, and it was I imagine it was probably the case for you guys when you were watching it in that time. Like I never thought of the islands as a flashback. It was always there's flash forwards,
right,
and then flashbacks. But the island, it's like the island is the present,
right,
and then we're seeing the future and seeing the past. But you never think. I never thought of the flash forwards as the present and everything else as the past.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it does kind of come to a head right at the end of the season where you're like, they merge a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Indeed.
I think it's this is a little bit of a tangent time, but it's probably one of those things like the more you watch it, the more things you catch. Like there is this movie called Primer. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a time travel movie.
Love it.
I love that movie. I watched it once and I'm like, I watched the whole movie and the credits start rolling and I'm like, what did I watch? What did I just see? Hang on. And I immediately watched it again.
Nice.
And I have watched that movie. I keep going back to it. And every time I go back to it, I figure out something new. Just because it's so densely packed.
I still don't understand it, but learn something new. It's just fun to watch.
Primer is very densely packed with information and things going on that every time you watch it, you catch something that you go, oh, you have a light bulb moment every time you watch the movie, I think.
Good to know. All right, episode 4, Eggtown. This is a Kate-centric episode, and we have the flash forwards of her trial where she pleads not guilty. And they end up calling in Jack as a character witness and basically says that she was the savior. And she ends up talking with her mom, who says she wants to see her son and she won't testify if so. Or just like implies that. I don't know if she ever really specifically said that. And she ends up not showing up to testify, so Kate takes a plea deal for probation for 10 years and can't leave the state. And Jack shows up as she's leaving court and says he still loves her and asks her out, but she's like, sorry, you can't go out with me unless you're okay seeing Aaron. And we find out the baby is actually Aaron. What? Those are the flashbacks. And on the island, Ben is now a prisoner under Locke's house, aka Ben's old house, and he is still manipulating Locke to a T and getting under his skin. Ooh. Meanwhile, Jack and co. are back at the beach camp, and they can't get a hold of the boat. They have Charlotte use the emergency number, and apparently they aren't back on the boat yet. Kate brings Miles to Ben, who extorts him for $3.2 million and tells Kate that they know who she is. And I almost said Locke licks Kate. Locke kicks Kate out of the camp because of that. And Kate and Sawyer hook up before she goes back, says she's not pregnant, and he turns back into an asshole. And that is the episode. Thoughts, Johnny? Did you think that there was something? Oh, did you think that the baby was going to be Aaron?
No. I'll get to that.
Okay.
They say dinner at 6 if you're hungry, and I'm like, how do they know what time it is? I guess the clocks in the houses are set.
Dharma clocks.
Good question.
They airdrop batteries.
I said this is in mostly caps. Her son? Who the fuck is her son? Jack says only 8 of us survived the crash, and I'm like, he is lying like crazy, or they don't remember what actually happened. I have Sawyer rats out Kate to Ben. No, it was a fake out so Kate could free Miles and take him to Ben. I'm like, is Ben Satan? I don't know why I thought Ben might be Satan, but like, and not figuratively, like literally the fallen angel Lucifer. Maybe he is Satan. I said, good call, Locke. Tell Kate where she's not welcome. She's not welcome there anymore. Kate goes rogue when she doesn't get her way. And then Locke saying it's not a democracy.
She wanted to know, but also I'm like, Kate, they obviously know.
So this is my stream of consciousness. I'm like, is her son the baby? Is it Sawyer's baby? Who's the taxi driver? Parentheses, probably no one important. End parentheses. How old is this fucking kid? And then all in caps with lots of exclamation points and question marks. Aaron, what did you do, Kate?
Yeah, they really string along the mysteries with all of these flash forwards. They really like make you piece it all together.
Yeah.
One by one.
Yeah, because they
in the best way.
They kind of misdirect you too, because like you said, her and Sawyer get together. So they make you think that that is her getting pregnant before they leave the island. Because she just says my son. She doesn't say my baby. She doesn't say. So you think, oh, like you don't know the age of the kid until they say Aaron.
At this point, do we have, do we know how long in the future the flash forwards are?
Sometimes there's like certain things that they show, or are mentioned with the years. I think, yeah, her trial wasn't too long after. I think it was sometime in 2005. I can't remember exactly when, but and some of them they do, some of them you kind of have to figure out.
Right.
Yeah.
This also seems to be one of the few episodes without a previously on Lost at the beginning.
There's actually, I think, a few of them this season.
Yeah, the next one is too.
Okay.
But
it's like, you would probably know better than me because I just skip right on through.
Yeah.
Seen them too many times. Any other thoughts on this? I didn't really have anything. Except for Locke saying he's responsible for the people on the island, and I'm like, how? That was it. Sometimes I have one note, sometimes I have a lot. Anything else? Any other
nope. I don't have
questions,
anything
comments? All right. Let's move on to what a lot of people say is the best episode of the series, aka The Constant. This is a Desmond-centric episode where there are just flashes where his consciousness flashes back and forth, essentially. So in the flashbacks, quote unquote, Desmond goes back to the military in 1996. He finds Faraday, who's running an experiment about time travel with rats. Wedmore is bidding on a journal from the Black Rock that was owned by Hanso.
What?
Yeah. Gives Desmond Penny's address. Desmond goes to see Penny to ask for her phone number, says he won't call her for 8 years. You are shedding like crazy, sir. Meanwhile, on the island / freighter, Desmond and Saeed are on the helicopter, and Desmond flashes to the past and doesn't know who they are, and they make it back to the freighter, and Desmond gets put in a room with Minkowski, who's also flashing back and forth. Saeed calls Jack. Faraday talks with Desmond and tells him to find him at the university he's working at and gives him some code so he knows it's him, and if not, mention Eloise, the rat. And Minkowski was the communications officer and tells Desmond that they kept getting calls from Penny and they were told not to answer. Minkowski dies and Desmond gets the number and talks to Penny. Lots of crying emojis. She's been looking for him for 3 years, knows about Island, etc. And his flashes are done as they say I love you to each other. And we see in Faraday's notebook that Desmond is his constant. Dun, dun, dun. That's the episode. Johnny, did you cry?
No.
End of podcast.
Why? Because
What
of
the heck?
Desmond and
You
Penny?
You don't have feelings?
Do you not have a soul?
What's
don't
going
remember.
on?
I
You
got
cried when Rose and Bernard, like, reunited. Come on.
that's the best love story of all time.
Not
Whoa.
Penny and Desmond.
Whoa.
Excuse me. Even this one got up. He's like, no,
Listen,
I can't be hearing this correctly.
Rose and Bernard are great. But Desmond
I'm
and
joking
Penny,
a little bit with that. I don't remember crying. I know it's
Sorry.
good that they finally got back into contact, but like it's interesting that you said this is considered a lot of people's favorite episode because I probably have the least amount of notes about this episode for this season.
It's because you don't have a soul.
Wow.
Apparently not.
It is a bottle episode. It doesn't really connect to the overall story.
Yeah, but it's great.
Yeah, I
That's
pulled
why-
in some Loki parlance and talk about Desmond time slipping. I have a note
Allison.
that says
Whoa.
Those are fighting words. Why?
I do
genuinely
like
curious.
Desmond and Penny together. Like I like both the
Yeah.
characters. I had to say,
Wow.
Dan saying there could be side effects from the
shocked.
travel if that bearing and vector were not followed exactly. So that's interesting. What kind of side effects? So it's like a tunnel. I have LOL. Eloise is a rat. Because I think
Hello, Eloise.
I think we heard about Eloise before, but there was no indication that Eloise was a rat.
Well, there is Eloise Hawking, who Desmond met. Remember when picking out the ring?
I don't think that character's name like stuck in my brain. Like I know who you're talking about.
Clearly
The
not.
one, yeah. The BlackRock thing was cool. I was surprised that Penny's dad actually gave Desmond the address. I was like, that's
Yeah.
super surprising to me that he actually gave him the address.
I think because he knew how Penny felt, that he was just like, fuck it, have her tell you, and maybe you'll fuck off.
And then the thing with Dan's journal saying, if anything goes wrong, Desmond Hume will be my constant. Like, they play chilling music over top of that for some reason, but that doesn't seem like, and you even said dun dun dun. Like, it doesn't seem particularly shocking or bad to me. It's just him saying, like,
I don't
He's-
think it's bad, but I think it reveals that he does remember him.
Right.
Yeah.
I think at the end of this episode, it's meant to connect it's meant to be like Faraday knows a lot more than he's been saying,
Mm-hmm.
and just if anybody writes down if anything goes wrong, you immediately know shit's gonna go wrong. Like, why would you write
Fair.
that? Like, that's not something that you say.
Yeah, I didn't take it that way. I just thought of it like, Faraday's got all this stuff invested in this kind of research, and he finds someone who proves to him that he's slipping back and forth through time and whatnot. So he picks him as his like anchor point. Like I didn't take it in the moment as him knowing more than he was letting on, but that certainly makes sense.
Yeah. He's clearly having memory issues.
Right, his
though,
brain's
as we see.
flipping.
Yeah. But we have Graham McTavish, aka Dwalin, in this episode as Desmond's officer. I don't know his ranking. That was cool. He's also in Outlander. And we find out it is Christmas Eve 2004. So we have a date.
Mm-hmm.
Another date and time. That's the
He's
only notes I had.
What else is he?
Graham McTavish?
Yeah, I believe
He's in a lot
it's
of things.
The Witcher. He's in The Witcher too.
Mm.
Oh, that's right.
He would be my pick if they recast Balin Skull on
Oh.
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
He'd be my pick to
I can see
be
that.
the replacement.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would work.
Well, this episode is great, and I feel like you guys aren't appreciating it enough.
Why?
Like if you're not stoked on this episode
I love
now,
it.
like it's all downhill. The rest of the series.
I love it. Clearly, Johnny does not.
I didn't say it like it. I liked it. I just didn't have a lot
You
of
didn't
notes
have
about
to
it.
not.
Are
say
you
it.
a Desmond fan?
I like Desmond a lot. Yeah, he's one of my.
I
He's one of my
remember
top 3 characters, I think.
by the time this episode came around, we were all like, what is up with Desmond? Because he was getting the flashes, right? He saw Charlie's death. He saw all this other stuff. And then they just dropped this, like I don't know. I'm a sucker for time travel. Obviously, you are too. If Primer is one of your favorites,
Yeah.
and the way they do it in this episode with just like it's in his consciousness, and you're like, is the paradox with talking to Faraday, and does he remember? Well, his memory's all fucked up, so maybe not. And then the journal is like, yeah, he does remember, so there was no paradox. Like just the way it all works, I love that kind of stuff. But then from a filmmaking standpoint, I think one of the best things in this episode and in all of television history, the transitions when Desmond is like falling over in one time period and lands in the other. It's so good. He's in the stairwell and he falls, and then he's on the boat. It's just, it's premium filmmaking.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. We
Real
love
good.
it. Well, people with taste love it. I don't know about
It's real
Johnny.
good.
Jesus Christ.
That phone call.
Anything else before we move on?
No.
It's great.
It's amazing. We love it.
You're treating
10 out of 10.
Treating my reaction to this episode like I shot your dog or something. Like,
You did.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
You might as well have. Right? Have you gotten shot?
Aw,
Yeah, he's
puppy.
dead.
Oh, no.
What do you have to say for yourself, Johnny?
nothing.
Anyways, moving on to episode 6, The Other Woman. This is the Juliet-centric episode. Stop licking your paws, please and thank you. We have the flashbacks where Juliet is in therapy with Harper after she's been on the island for a week, and then, the relationship that Juliet has with Goodwin. We start out with the their fling, and then Harper confronts Juliet about that because she is Goodwin's wife.
What?
And Ben sends Goodwin off to die when the plane crashes, and creepy Ben hitting on Juliet / showing her dead Goodwin and saying, "You're mine." Blech. I hate it so much. So much. Meanwhile, on the island, Faraday and Charlotte leave the beach camp. Juliet and Jack go after when they run into Harper, who tells them that they're going to the Tempest to deploy the gas and to kill them. They then run into Kate, who Charlotte had knocked out, and Juliet takes off without them. And she arrives at the Tempest, and Faraday renders the gas inert. So he's actually trying to help instead of release the gas. And Kate and Jack finally show up, and Juliet warns Jack about Ben, and they kiss. And Ben shows Locke a tape of Charles Widmore, who owns the freighter and is trying to find the island. Dun dun dun. My only note is Ben has major incel energy. Like, you're mine. Like, okay, bro. Hello again, Ralph.
Hi, Ralph.
What did you think of this episode, Johnny?
This is one of those inconsistencies that I screenshotted. She was not there in that original scene. Obviously, you know why, but like, I just like, it was fun. Like, he's not even wearing the same shirt. He's wearing different shirts. This is very mint green, and this is very...
It could be the lighting.
Blue check, maybe. But yeah, she definitely was not there.
Playing devil's advocate. Could be the lighting.
It could be the lighting. But also, this dude's not there either. There's no one... there's that lady behind him. But yes, I know. I'm just being super pedantic and nitpicky. That's the wrong
Maybe
one.
it's an alternate universe.
Maybe
this is a flash forward to a different plane crash. You don't know.
The Lost Multiverse.
It's a flashback to the other plane crash that we haven't heard about yet.
The multiverse of madness.
Ben's safe combo is 36, 15, 28. Just in case you were wondering. I have Ben is a conniving Weasley bastard. Lying about Goodwin being interested in Ana Lucia since he knows Juliet and Goodwin are seeing each other. I said, just shoot him already. Maybe it's a universe where Kate isn't terrible. I don't think they're that lucky. Lying about Goodwin being interested in Ana Lucia since he knows Juliet and Goodwin were seeing each other. I said, just shoot him already, Juliet. Just fucking shoot him. And then he says, Jesus, Ben, you are a manipulative fuck. And then Ben, Ben, you're mine. I said, oof, Ben. And then take as much time as you need. I said, the switch in tones was fucking comedic. And then see you guys at dinner. Like, he's just such a rat bastard. He's great. And a lot of it is Michael's performance as Ben is just he's amazing.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, those tone switches are wild.
It's just so funny.
And great. Like, his whole body, too, completely flips. I'm like, something's wrong with you. That's not normal.
I mean, he has to be a narcissist, right? Like 100% narcissistic, maybe
1,000,000%.
Sociopathic, bipolar, maybe. Like, there could be all sorts of...
bear. He's a bipolar bear.
He's a bipolar bear?
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I love that. That's great.
It's canon now.
I don't know. He spent a lot of time on a wackadoo island that does stuff your
Yeah,
brain.
Ben
you know?
was like the Umbridge of Lost, essentially. If anyone
Yeah.
watches Harry Potter, like everyone wanted to shoot him.
She was such
And he did get beat up a lot, but he could have gotten beat up more. Could have. Just saying.
It would be hard. They ran out of places. I think Michael Emerson told us the story. They ran out of places to put bruises on him. So they would have to like speed up the healing and be like, I guess that one healed, so you can get a new one.
Yeah. I was wondering that too, because, yeah, he just got beat up so much that,
Right.
I don't know.
Like the time period, if you think about it, it's like, oh, he also has like Wolverine healing abilities.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he couldn't get new bruises.
It's the island. The island's healing him. Yet he also had a spine tumor.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the island can only do so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Locke's legs healed pretty quick after the door nearly crushed them too.
Mm-hmm.
He was out of commission for a while, but not too long. Not as long as he probably should have been. And also, like,
That's
could
fair.
walk immediately upon crashing, like, because it's not like it took as soon as like he's in the wreckage of the plane, like sitting there and realizes he can move his legs, like that change was immediate. So
Yeah. And Rose,
Although-
too. She says like on the first day that she felt better.
although I wonder, those injuries did not, and those injuries and illnesses and sicknesses and whatnot did not happen on the island. I wonder if it's different for
Right, like the pregnancy thing.
yeah, for
It
injuries
matters
that occur.
where you got injured.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except
I'd see
Locke
that.
did both, right? Because the one in the hatch was
Yeah.
on the island. Guys, we may never know.
We may never know. Oh, well. But that's not the point of the show. It's okay to not know everything.
Is it?
I hope so.
Shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, what's next?
The next is Ji Young.
Oh,
We have. What is going on, Johnny?
There's a fly or something buzzing around my head.
This is a Sun and Jin centric episode. Well,
how are you going to describe
think-
this next part?
yeah. We think that it's flash forwards, but we see Sun giving birth, so that's obviously a flash forward. And they make us think that Jin was also rescued by showing him trying to get a stuffed panda to bring to the hospital, but it was actually for an ambassador Mr. Pack wants to do business with. And at the end, Hurley shows up to see Sun and the baby girl, who she names Ji-yeon. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but that's okay. And they go to see Jin's grave. Dun, dun, dun. Meanwhile, on the island / freighter, Sun wants to go to Locke's camp because she doesn't trust the Fraidies, but Juliet warns her that she'll die in 3 weeks if she doesn't get off the island, so she tells Jin about Sun's affair, which was a shitty moment, shitty thing to do. And Bernard talks with Jin while fishing, and Jin forgives Sun because he knew how bad he was before they were on the island, and so Sun decides not to go to Locke's after all. Meanwhile, on the ship, Regina jumps off the ship. Desmond and Saeed talk with the captain, and they find out it's Charles Woodmore's boat, and he thinks Ben's behind the fake plane and people. So they both claim that the other faked the plane, at least to other people. And we find out that Michael is on the ship as Kevin Johnson, aka Ben Spy. Dun dun dun.
So much happened.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, these episodes be jam-packed. What do you think, Johnny? How is the Michael reveal?
That motherfucker. I still haven't. I have not forgiven him for Libby.
You don't care about Ana Lucia?
Yeah.
Not really.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked her, but I was way more upset that Libby died than I was that Ana Lucia died. Because I have not
That's
seen.
fair.
We haven't seen to this point. We've gotten hints because we saw that Libby was in the asylum with Hurley, but that's about it. We haven't really gotten much else from her past before the island that I can remember.
Well, with Desmond, he gave gave Desmond the boat.
But she doesn't seem to have been a horrible person, like the rest of everybody else on the island. We haven't seen what makes her a horrible person yet. I'm sure she probably is. Anyway, for this, I wrote, I wonder if Juliet lied about when Sun got pregnant to spare her and Jin pain, but then later when my giant, what the fuck, Juliet, in all caps, I don't think she was worried about sparing them any pain.
No.
Nope.
The Toy Store sequence is really fun. I saw Power Rangers, I saw Dragon Quest, I saw Pikachu, I saw Chocobos, I saw Mario, and Naruto. I had to pause it and go, I'm like, okay, there's this and this and this and this and this. And Power Rangers probably like Super Sentai over there. But I also, way to bury the lead, Kate, telling Sun and Jin about the gas plant, but not leading with them deactivating it.
Yeah. Typical.
I then have, whoa, what the hell happened? I did something wrong. Okay. Am I still on? Okay.
Yes.
I have Sun, do as I say, don't ask questions. Find food for 2 days and meet me at the tent. Jin, why? What happened? Those are questions, Jin. Do as I say, don't ask any questions.
Jin and my
Immediately
mom
ask
have that
questions.
in common.
I wrote, so the oceanic system must be Kate, Jack, Hurley, Sun, Jin, no, and who else? Aaron? Does Aaron count?
I don't know.
I wonder, someone was banging on the pipes, and I wonder if it was Morse code. I didn't bother to go back and listen and look it up. I don't know if
I'm
it's
sure
revealed.
someone did in the Lost community.
The wreckage seems to have been staged. Hurley comes to Korea to see Sun and the baby. Jin forgives Sun for the affair because he knows he was a different person before the island and doesn't blame her. That's big of him. And fuck, Jin's dead, so it doesn't matter.
180.
Yep.
I mean, were you surprised about Michael? Were you like, how the fuck did he get there?
Like, yeah, I know, like, I never expected that he would, one, be on the boat, and two, be Ben's man on the boat.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I figured it was going to be somebody that we'd already seen established with the boat. Like the chopper people who, like Faraday or Charlotte or one of them, not fucking Michael of all people.
Yeah. I remember thinking that he had run into them when he was leaving the island, and like that was Ben's plan after all to get him on there. I think that was like my original idea until obviously we find out that wasn't the case. I feel like that would have, the only thing is, yeah, what do you do with Walt in that situation? Because obviously he's not there. But I don't know. I thought maybe he was like being a stowaway or something. So that was my original idea. But also, I don't know if you noticed on the TV in Sun's room at the beginning, Missile Razzle Dazzle expose episode is playing on the TV.
I don't think I did notice that.
Great.
Yep.
It's great.
We love those Easter eggs. Anything else about this episode before we move on to episode 8?
Nope, that's all I had.
This episode doesn't get enough credit, I think, for being, like, since Walkabout, the biggest twist ending. Like, the flash forwards is another one, but, like, I don't think anyone figured out the twist in this one when it was new, because it's so well done, and because they had just trained us, like, this is what a flashback is, this is what a flash forward is, here's this episode. And so no one, you just didn't think it was possible that there could be a flashback and a flash forward in the same episode. And it was just like, again, just such clever writing, such clever storytelling. And
did a good job with it.
The twist ending, and it's a double twist ending because you got Michael on the boat and Jin is dead, and that was a flashback, and this is a flash forward. Like, I don't know, just like, this is, season 4 is better than people think.
I really liked it. I feel like rewatching it again now made me like it a lot more than I remember it. For sure.
Just so much in it.
Yeah, for real. All right, episode 8. Meet Kevin Johnson. Speaking of Michael, this is a Michael-centric episode, which, if they didn't have it after that ending, I think people would have rioted. So these are flashbacks. Michael tries to kill himself by crashing his car. We find out that Walt's been living with Michael's mom, who he hasn't told her what's happened. And he's about to shoot himself when Mr. Friendly shows up, tell him the island won't let him kill himself. And so he meets with Mr. Friendly, and he shows Michael proof that Widmore faked the plane in the ocean and wants him to go undercover on the boat to kill everyone on board. And they end up giving Michael a bomb to blow up the ship, but it is a test. So Ben calls him and tells him what to do. Make a list, knock out the communications, fuck with the engine, etc. Meanwhile, on the island/freighter at the barracks, Locke tells everyone that they want Ben, and once they get him, they're going to kill everyone else, and that Michael is the spy. Saeed gets upset at Michael's story and turns him into the captain. Russo, Alex, and Carl go to the temple as Ben suggested, but they end up getting ambushed, and Russo and Carl are killed. Meanwhile, Alex is captured by Kimi. Dun dun dun. That's the episode.
So I did not miss Michael and Walt, like, at all. There's an eyeball close up that doesn't open the episode. I was shocked. I think it's the first one that we've seen that wasn't an opener, because there were a lot of episodes that opened with an eyeball close up. This is the first one I remember that doesn't open the episode. I wrote, so can people who leave the island not die because they're already dead? Because Michael tried to wreck his car and shoot himself in the head.
It just wasn't the time.
Tom blaming Widmore for staging the Oceanic 815 wreck because he doesn't want anyone else to find the island. So did Widmore stage it or did he stage it?
We don't know.
I wrote, Saeed turns Michael into the captain, but I bet the captain knows and doesn't care.
Pretty much.
I have Danielle, Alex, and Carl are in the jungle and hear a whiz and a plunk. Someone's obviously shooting at them, but they just sit there confused. Don't just sit there. Fucking move. Carl gets shot and dies. And Russo's dead now, too. And, like, that was so... Like, that was super frustrating. Because they're obviously getting shot at. For them to stand... Russo would know that they're getting shot at. But they just fucking stand there and go like, oh, what's happening? And they stand there until everybody but Alex is dead. The fuck, guys. Like, one, are they really that dumb? Two, is it maybe a writer strike thing? Could they not come up with a better way to, like, if you're going to kill off the characters, find a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Then, they're just going to stand out in the open and get shot. Or
I didn't
don't
really
have shots
have
miss.
a problem with it.
Just have them walking and suddenly, like, because if the shots weren't telegraphed by the whiz plunk sound and like little bits of rock, like first shot, boom, Carl down. Second shot,
In
boom,
the water bottle.
Russo down. Third shot, Alex is like, wait, I'm Ben's daughter. But no, it's telegraphed and they just stand there and die. Dumbasses.
I didn't really have a problem with it. I don't know. I get it. Like, it's a quick and easy way for them to go. I did like the suspense of not knowing whether it was the bad freighter people or just the others ambushing them. Like, rewatching it, I completely forgot.
Dang it, Carl.
Carl.
Get in the house, Carl.
Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, like I think rewatching it, I was like, wait, is this the others or is this Kimi and the bad guys? But yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. What did you think, Taylor?
I don't remember this scene. I mean, I remember that they get shot, but like, I don't remember thinking anything weird about it.
Yeah.
Even at the time. I mean, I think for me, the moment that stood out was I'm Ben's daughter. I'm Ben's daughter. And then like, well, why does that matter? What's going on?
Yeah.
I just figure it's an island. People get shot all the time. I mean, maybe Russo was smart enough to know, like, I could either run and waste a bunch of energy and still get shot, or I could just stand here.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, you know? Who knows?
True.
Who knows?
My only note for this episode, I was like, LL Mr. Friendly being fancy and staying in the penthouse. I'm like, of course his gay ass is doing that. I was like, so typical. I did have
a note. Tom with Arturo is a callback to Tom telling Kate she's not his type.
Love it. Love to see it. Anything else before we move on to the next?
Not for me.
Okay. Episode 9, The Shape of Things to Come. This is a Ben-centric episode. And we have the flash forwards where Ben wakes up in the Sahara Desert. And then he goes to Tunisia. Tunisia. Got it. Tunisia. I'll do that. Tunisia. Whereas October 2005, and he sees Saeed on the news going to bury his wife Nadia. And so Ben goes to that funeral and tells Saeed he's trying to find the man that murdered his wife. And Ben finds him, and Saeed kills him. And this starts Saeed down his path of being a mercenary for Ben. And then at the end, Ben finds Charles. Wait. Is this the right one? Oh. I'm confused.
Lost will do that to you.
No, I guess this is right.
Yeah, because my note I have is this a flashback or a flash forward? Ben wakes up in the Sahara Desert.
Yes, okay. Ben finds Charles blaming him for the murder of Alex, saying he's gonna kill Penny to make him feel the same because he changed the rules. And Widmore says the island is his. All these men and saying that things belong to them when things don't belong to you. On the island / freighter, the doctor from the freighter washes up on shore, and of course he washes up right in front of all the beach people. I was like, he literally could have washed on shore anywhere. And the Kimi and the bad dudes end up being... Oh, they have Alex turn off the fence, and they start attacking the barracks. Kimi kills Alex, so Ben goes down the secret door, apparently calling the smoke monster there, and they escape while Ben says goodbye to Alex. Faraday sends Morse code to the freighter to see what happened to the doc, and they say he's fine, and Bernard totally calls him out on his shit, and Faraday reveals to Jack that they were never going to take them off the island. Meanwhile, Sawyer, Claire, and Miles go back to the beach peeps. And that is the episode. Crazy smoke monster shit.
I wrote the boat's actual doctor washes up on the island. I had to laugh. Ben pulls a shotgun from his piano bench and hands it to a bewildered Sawyer.
That was funny.
I wasn't sure when Ben wakes up in the Sahara. I'm like, is this flashback, flash forward? I didn't know. So they fucking blew up a house, presumably with Claire inside. Oh no, Claire's still alive. I said, holy shit, the Merc actually killed Alex when Ben was trying to bluff him. That never happens. Never happens.
That's why he was like, he changed the rules.
Yeah. I said, what the fuck is Ben doing? He has a secret tunnel behind a secret wall inside a secret room. This is like secret Inception.
Yeah. Just wait till you get to the Orchid.
Smoke monster. I said, Bernard knows Morse code. Go, Bernard. And then Ben's going to kill Penny in return for Alex's death.
Yeah. Which sucks because I love Penny. But we'll see what happens. My notes are not Miles ringing the doorbell. LOL. Just thought that was funny. Like, I don't know. Could have yelled like, hey, it's Miles, but he had to ring the doorbell. But like, how did they know where to find Alex? Unless they got lucky and she just gave herself away by saying, I'm Ben's daughter. But also they seem to know all the moves that are getting made. So, I don't know. Shit's crazy. And once again, we are in a hurry, yet stopping to take the time to say goodbye. AKA Ben saying goodbye to Alex. But clearly he's not worried about the smoke monster coming after them. Which I always assumed that the smoke monster, like, knew who, like, the bad people were, or, like, the people that were threatening the island. Like, that's how I understood it. I loved Sawyer's line of, you harm so much as one curly hair on his head, I'll kill you. With Sawyer defending Hurley / threatening Locke, and I was like, look at this growth by Hurley, or by Sawyer. Good job. And also, I don't know if you remember, but in Charlotte's flashback where she's looking at the polar bear bones, that was in Tunisia too. Tunisia. So I was like, I feel like that checks out. That was it. Those are my notes. Any thoughts, Taylor?
Great episode. Great. Let Michael Emerson be Michael Emerson. Just point cameras. Just get all your Emmys.
Give him the stage.
Yeah, the shocking Alex's death was insane at the time. It's still one of the most shocking like that's right up there with Libby of just like what, why, how, what, and then I think that scene, Tatooine, correct. I think that scene with Ben and Widmore was like one of the only things they ever shot not in Hawaii. Because Alan Dale was doing a play in London, and so they had to like fly to him. Just like a weird piece of trivia because it doesn't matter. It's in a bedroom. It could be anywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Any other thoughts, Johnny? Before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Episode 10, Something Nice Back Home. This is a Jack-centric episode, and the flash forwards take place in 2007, where Kate and Jack are living together post Kate's trial. He obviously changed his mind about being around Aaron, but he starts seeing his dad, and he goes to visit Hurley at the hospital since he's not been doing so well, and Hurley thinks they're all dead, which I was like, this is very fourth wall breaking right here. And Hurley, I think this entire season is very much the audience and very fourth wall breaking in a lot of his comments. And Hurley passes along the message from Charlie to Jack saying that he's not supposed to raise him and that someone will be visiting him very soon. And then Jack asks Kate to marry him, and she says yes. But then Jack gets visited by his dad again at the hospital. So Jack starts taking clonazepam with beer. Great idea. So Jack starts getting paranoid about what Kate's been doing, and she's been doing something for Sawyer, I'm guessing for his daughter, and she tells him to get his shit together, and he yells at her for calling Aaron her son in front of Aaron, and that's it for them. It is a no-go after that. And on the island, Jack is really sick. Juliet figures out is appendicitis, and they're gonna have to take it out. Meanwhile, Faraday, Charlotte, Sun, and Jin go to the staff to get medical supplies, and Jin calls Charlotte out for speaking Korean and makes a deal with her to get Sun on the helicopter. The surgery goes well, and Juliet tells Kate that Jack kissed her, but she thinks it was to prove that he doesn't love Kate. Meanwhile, Miles, Sawyer, and Claire come across Rousseau and Carl's bodies buried. They run into Lapidus, who says Kimi and co are coming, so they hide. And right after that, Claire sees Christian in the jungle and walks off into the jungle and follows him. Because normal.
Normal.
And that's the episode.
Starts with an eyeball close-up.
There you go.
I always got to make note of when the eyeball close-up. You're going to say that. The Millennium Falcon, I think, is one of the toys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at things that I note. What a shitty end for Russo and Alex and Carl. Jack's appendix is going to burst. I did have to note that Hurley thinks they're all dead and they never got off the island. My dude.
My dude.
Jack sees his dead father in the lobby. I wrote season 3 poked holes in my they're all dead theory, but this season is kind of reinforcing it. I said Claire sees her dad, also Jack's dad, holding Aaron. The thing with Juliet and Jack. The thing with Kate and Jack. Kate says she doesn't want drunk Jack around her son, and Jack yells, "You're not even related to him." And of course he was standing in the hallway.
Yeah.
So he heard. I don't know if
Which
he's
is funny because
cognizant.
Jack's related to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is. Mm-hmm. He does know it. And then Sawyer...
He does. At
does
that
he?
point he does. Because at the funeral...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm. Which was before this. Because it was 10 months after they crashed. So it was 2005. And this was 2007. Yeah.
That's why he said it
And
like
then-
that instead of
Mhm.
"you're not his mother." It's like you're not even
Yeah.
related to him, and I am.
Even though he wanted nothing to do with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote in the beginning, I'm like, oh, it's Kate. I guess Jack got over her stealing Aaron. And I like that was my thought up to this point, that like she stole the kid for some reason.
I think a lot of people thought that. And I don't know at what point like her trial was in relation to his dad's funeral. Because I'm curious if after he learned, I don't know, because it seemed like it had been somewhat recently in 2007 when he decided to go back to her. I don't know. It would be
Yeah.
interesting to see like how long after learning that he's literally related to Aaron that he was like, oh shit, maybe I should be a father figure to him.
he would be
know.
like his like half uncle.
Half nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just have Sawyer finding Aaron alone in the jungle with Claire nowhere to be found. That's it.
I loved Rose telling Charlotte, watch your tone, Red. Rose is so good. And then my other note is, shirtless Jack. Classic.
Just like
Which
shirtless Jack.
they waxed him to no end. There was no hair on his whole torso. And I loved Sawyer being protective of Claire. Once again, growth for Sawyer. And that's it. Anything else? Any other notes? Taylor, any thoughts?
There's
Yes,
too many Jack
Rose is
episodes.
You're not wrong.
It's in general.
You're not wrong. They really try to make him like main character energy, yet everyone hates him.
We're just like, what about his tattoos? What about his appendix? What about his feelings? What about this addiction? What about that addiction? What about his daddy issues? What about his other daddy
Other
issues?
daddy issues.
It's like, oh man, I get it. It just
They
feels
just
like a
wanna-
lot of similar storylines.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with him seeing his dad. Like, I totally thought his dad was gonna talk to him. So it was interesting to see just like that he appeared. Like he said hey or whatever it was,
Right.
but he didn't really actually.
Yeah, I feel like it was. I remember thinking like, oh, they're using the dad. Like they had to bring him back because they need him for the. I don't remember which episode it is, but in season 4 on the boat, right? The thing. They like
Yes.
needed the actor back, and so they're like, I don't know, Jack sees
Well,
his
also
dad.
for the
Oh, for Claire,
cabin.
right? Yeah, and the
Yeah.
cabin. Yeah, so they were just like, I guess he's around, so Jack sees him sometimes. Like some of that stuff, I remember thinking at the time, being like, well, the actor flew all the way to Hawaii. I guess let him do 2 things.
Yeah.
Do you mind terribly if we kill you with sticks?
Right.
Well, we've come all this way.
Exactly.
All right. Speaking of the cabin, episode 11, Cabin Fever. This is a Locke-centric episode where we have the flashback of young Emily, who's 6 months pregnant, but does not look 6 months pregnant, gets hit by a car running away from her mom, and has the baby early, who's Locke. And Emily says she can't raise him, and we see Richard Alpert looking on at the scene, who then visits John as a kid later on to test him, but he doesn't pass when he takes the knife because, you know, Locke loves knives. And we see Locke getting bullied in high school, gets an offer to go to science camp from Mr. Alpert, and then later on, Locke is in physical therapy when he gets visited by Lance Reddick, tells him he needs to go on a walkabout. And on the island / freighter, Kimi and Co. go back to the freighter, tries to kill Michael, but of course he can't. Locke has a dream of Horace Goodspeed repeating the same cycle, telling him to find Jacob, and so he gets a map off of his body. They finally find the cabin, and Locke goes in and finds Christian Shepherd speaking on behalf of Jacob and Claire, and asks him how to save the island, and he tells him to move it. The captain lets Saeed go back to the island on their small boat thing. I don't know what to call that. Desmond decides to stay on the freighter. We see Kimi kill the doctor to threaten Lapidus to fly them back. And he also kills the captain and has some device that will trigger something we don't know yet if he gets killed. The helicopter flies over the beach, and Lapidus drops a bag with a radio / satellite on it. And my first note that I'll say before you go, Johnny, is Holland Roden from Teen Wolf. Love her. Which I don't think I knew at the time, because Teen Wolf came out after this, and I loved that show. So watching it back now, I'm like, oh my god, love her, know her.
My first note is, who the fuck is this? It's like the 50s. It's like, oh, name him John. It's Locke, apparently, so that's Locke's mom. I loved Hurley's.
You didn't get it from Emily and the red hair?
No, I didn't.
No, I totally forgot who it was rewatching it.
Yeah.
Hurley's, oh, this is just awesome, when him, Locke, and Ben are in the jungle trying to find the cabin, and no one knows where it is.
Right.
I wrote, who the fuck is Horace? And then they say apparently he built a cabin, but he's been dead for 12 years.
You don't remember him from Ben's flashback last season? Wasn't it Horace that helped deliver Ben? They found him. They found his dad.
That sounds right. Yeah, Horace is the one who makes Ben's dad a workman.
Yeah. I think that's him.
There's 700,000 people on this show.
You don't have the Lost Encyclopedia?
I do not.
Not as bad as Game of Thrones, I will say.
Yeah, at least on this one, they aren't all named the same and white guys with beards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
I'll have to send this. I'll have to get this for you as your present for finishing.
I have a Star Trek encyclopedia somewhere.
I have a Hobbit encyclopedia too. Look at, even Vincent is on there.
Great.
I have
Oh boy.
We get another eyeball close up on John waking up from the dream. I said, it's Eyelash Guy looking at Baby Locke. What the fuck? Because that Nestor, his name's
Guy.
Yeah, because his Nestor.
You didn't want to call him Guyliner?
I couldn't remember his name. Yeah. Oh,
Guyliner.
yeah. Guyliner guy. Nestor Carbonell, which I hear the name Nestor, I always think of Nintendo Power. And what, I wonder which item was the correct one to pick.
I think the other ones he first picked were fine, and then when he picked the knife, he was not fine.
And why? Why did the knife disqualify him?
I don't know.
It can't be because of violence, because they're all real fucking violent. He might be violent. We gotta worry about him. And then I have another one. I'm like, hey, that's that guy. I was talking about Lance Riddick. I couldn't remember his name. And then, yeah, of course, they want Locke to move the island. How the fuck do you move an island? What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
my god. She was 15 when she gave birth to Locke. Damn. I knew she was young, but Jesus. Crazy. I'm just reading her, info here. Anyways,
That's all I have. Taylor,
Okay.
what do you think about the episode?
Take it away.
It's fun. I always like the Richard Alpert being ageless stuff. Like, you know, when they start playing that
Yeah.
scene, you're like, wait, what?
Because
Yeah,
Mr.
because you don't know. Like, is it time travel? How is he there?
Yeah.
Like,
Timey-wimey.
it's so weird. And then
part of it
What?
is like we're so used to like de-aging and aging effects and whatnot. Now, me watching it, I'm like, I didn't have. I'm like, okay, well, he's obviously immortal because he looks the same in 1950
Yeah.
as he does in the 2000s. So, dude's ancient. Like, what's going on? But they could have done makeup or something. It's hard to de-age. It was harder to de-age, I think, back in the 90s and 2000s than it is now with CG.
right, but like,
Yeah.
if you de-aged him the 60 years, he'd be invisible, right?
Yeah.
So that would have been an easy effect to do. Just don't put him there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember when this episode aired thinking we knew how many episodes were left in season 4. This was like in the time where they're like 3 episodes left and your questions will be answered. Like the promos were always about how much more Lost there was this year. And I remember thinking like, no more flash forwards. I need to know what's going on with the Oceanic Six and who are these people and how are they get off the island, and we're spending time in the 50s. Get out of here. Like, what?
Get out of here.
I mean, I liked it, but I remember thinking like, I'm seeing Locke in high school, but I want to know what the fuck's going on with the boat people and the other thing, and how does Hurley do, and with the thing and the
thing and the thing and the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel for you. That's again a frustration that I don't really have with
Right, it doesn't translate.
everything being out.
You're like, let me just watch the next one and I'll find that out.
Yeah, basically that was the thing with the finales. There was, what was it? It was season 1 or 2, maybe both, where I was like, if I was watching this when it aired and this was the finale, I'd be super pissed.
Right. Well, season 1 was
But
awful.
It hooks you.
Like, all that time not knowing what was in the hatch was excruciating.
Yeah, I bet.
And then what's the season 2 cliffhanger?
On the pier.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yep.
And even the pause last season after like the first 8 episodes or whatever, there was a break.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, if I was watching when this is airing and this is what they left off to go on hiatus for, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
So pissed off.
That was not the best spot to take a break.
Like,
no. Definitely not. I love how Hurley was dreaming about Malo Mars, because Hurley and me both. And his theory of why he and Locke could see the cabin because they're both crazy. And I'm like, he's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like John drew the smoke monster as a kid, and the comic that Albert shows him says hidden land, which I thought was interesting. And Kimi shirtless. That's it. I was not complaining.
Cool notes.
Thank you. Well, that's the reason why they're your ex. Anything else before we move on to the first part of the 3-part finale?
Nope.
All right. Episode 12. There's No Place Like Home, Part 1. So we have flash forwards of the Oceanic Six landing in Hawaii to family. Everyone arrives family except for Kate and Saeed. And there's a press conference going over what happened to them. Okay, Johnny.
Great.
Allegedly, which is where Nadia shows up to see Saeed, and we have a cute little reunion. And Sun visits her dad, who still treats her like shit, and she ends up buying a controlling interest in the company, so now she's his boss, essentially,
What?
and blames him and someone else that Jin died. We don't know who the someone else is yet. Hurley gets a surprise birthday party, island themed, which I'm like, this is very tone deaf. But I did do my eye makeup like kind of Hawaiian
Great.
florally to go along with that. Kate, Aaron, Saeed, and Nadia show up, and Hurley's dad fixed up the Camaro, but the numbers are on the dash, and he freaks out. And then we see Jack's funeral for his dad, where we meet Claire's mom, and she tells him about Claire. On the island, Jack and Kate follow the chopper signal. Meanwhile, Faraday realizes they're following secondary protocol and tells Charlotte they have to get off the island. Jack and Kate run into Miles, Sawyer, and Aaron. Kate drops off Aaron with Sun and her, I don't know where I was going with that, and Saeed go back to warn Jack and Sawyer. Kate, there's so much moving around in this season. Like, too much. Kate and Saeed get caught by Richard and the others. Sun, Jin, Aaron, Faraday, and others take the boat back to the freighter. Michael apologizes to Sun and Jin. They find a shit ton of C4 on the freighter. Ben, Locke, and Hurley go to the Orchid. Ben signals while they're on their way. When they make it there, Kimi and the others are there, so Ben turns himself into them. And that's the episode. Any thoughts, anyone?
This is another no previously on Lost episode. We see that Jack, Kate, Hurley, Sun, Saeed, and Aaron are the Oceanic Six. And it's Rolaren. Michelle Forbes is in this episode. She's Ensign Rolaren on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yeah.
No one was there to meet Kate or Saeed. Jack bleeding from his appendectomy wound. New Otherton, LOL. Wound. Yeah. Membata, is it a fake island or just conveniently located for the story? Is it a fake photo? Nadia finds Saeed.
That's their couple name.
Yeah, Naid.
Great.
Moving the island is dangerous and unpredictable. I have Kate. You're not an amazing ranger or anything. I think Saeed can manage. Who the fuck are those people standing beside Sun and Jin? No one we've ever met. And then Sun bought herself into being her dad's boss. LOL. Hurley driving a beater and eating Mr. Clucks.
Great.
Yep, that was one of my notes. I'm like, Hurley is still eating Mr. Clucks.
Yep. Why is there a coconut on the floor? And whispers. Surprise is a surprise party for Hugo. The DJ had a Rebel Alliance tattoo, I noticed.
Nice.
Ooh, good catch.
There's a lot of people there, including Kate and Aaron. I had said, LOL, the mileage on the Camaro is 481516, and the trip is 2342. Jack and Sawyer find the chopper, and Sawyer tells Jack he goes with them. Son of a bitch. This is the episode where we see Claire's mom tell Jack about Claire. Jack is obviously stunned. And then my next note is, that's a lot. That is a lot of C4. Eyelash dude again. And all of the remaining others. It's probably a good thing Jack and Claire never had eyes for each other.
Thank God.
It's not House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones.
Yeah, or Game of
Star
Thrones
Wars.
or Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Or like any big
Or Shannon and
franchise.
Boone.
Yeah. There's got to be one in every show or movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this when Locke, Ben, and Hurley are going to the orchid and they stop and Ben signals, but right before he finds where the basket is, how it's marked is two big rocks. There was a black rock and a white rock
Wow,
right
I
next
missed
to each
that.
other. That was my only other note.
I missed that, but I saw the DJ's Rebel Alliance tattoo.
Hey, that's cool. I didn't see that. What do you think of the episode, Taylor?
I remember this season finale as one thing, and I was just trying to look it up. I don't remember how it aired, if it was all one night or if it was this one and then the other two.
I think I saw on IMDb this was on one night and the other
Yeah.
two were on at the same time.
Yeah, I have
that sounds
the
right.
episode list up on Wikipedia. And it says the part 1 aired on the 15th and 2 and 3 aired on the 29th.
Right. So,
Which, wait a minute.
yeah, that's not even the next
that's
week.
That's 2 weeks later.
The math ain't mathin'.
Why would they skip a week?
Sometimes
IMDb.
it was, I mean, I have no idea, but sometimes it was like the Olympics or a big event or like the Grammys or something.
July,
Right. No, I'm just saying
I know what you mean.
it was preempted every once in a while.
Yeah.
But that seems crazy to do it mid 3-part episode.
Yeah. Okay. On IMDb it says, yeah, I guess they skipped a week.
Oh, you know what it probably was? They did those like recap episodes. And they'd be like, because the season was too short, they probably stretched it. Like it had to end on that date, even though they were one episode shy or something. And they would do these like recap thing, like for people who didn't go on the internet, like Damon and Carlton would do an episode of like, here's what's going on Lost. Now you're all caught up for the finale or the premiere.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Was it season 4, like before season 4 started, when they had the "You Found Me" by the Fray song?
Oh, that promo?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think it was.
Sounds right. Only thing I remember about this episode, and I could be wrong about the episode, but is this the one where at the party?
Oh no, it's season 5. Damn it.
It's the one where Hurley's mom says you don't use the Jesus Christ as a weapon.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. So
Hugo,
good.
you do not use Jesus Christ as a weapon. It's great. That's the greatest
line ever.
Yeah, I mean, so this is the one where you find out the Oceanic Six and they do the press conference and you're like, what the fuck are they talking about? Yeah, it's confusing. It all blends together because that happens after you see them make the plan, which we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't help that everything's out of order when trying to remember what happened.
Right. I remember it in order. I'm like, oh, and then they get on the boat and then they land on the island thing and they have this plan and then they do a press conference. But yeah, otherwise you watch it and you're like, how did they get here? And what are they talking about?
Exactly.
Cool. Okay.
Should we go into part 2?
Yep.
Okay. The flash forwards, we see what happened after Jack told Kate they have to go back. She drives back and pretty much calls him out on his shit. And Walt and his grandma visit Hurley at the hospital, says that Jeremy Bentham did come and see him, and Hurley says it was to protect him by not seeing him and also for lying about everything, essentially. On the island/freighter, Sawyer and Jack find the orchid with Hurley and Locke. And Locke tries to convince Jack to stay on the island. LOL. Says it's a place where miracles happen. I'm like, this isn't going to convince Jack. Like, have you not learned anything, Locke? Huh?
To Tahiti? It's a magical place.
Oh, yes. It's a magical place. Ben comes back and tells Jack to go to the choppa. Ben and Locke go down into the Orchid Station, and Locke watches the orientation video, and this time his name is Halawax. Kimi is somehow alive and goes down the Orchid, and of course Ben kills him because Ben's doing Ben. Doesn't give a fuck about anyone on the boat. On the freighter, they try to figure out how to disarm the C4 / the signal. They try to freeze it. Just as Lapidus and Kimi get to the choppa, Kate comes running out and others start firing, and Saeed / Richard finally kill Kimi, or at least we think so. They let Kate and Saeed use the helicopter. Lapidus takes Jack, Kate, Hurley, and Sawyer back to the freighter, but they start losing fuel, so Sawyer kisses Kate, then jumps off of the chopper. On the beach, Miles calls out Charlotte for wanting to leave when she spent so much time trying to get back there, and so she decides to stay. And we're like, what do you mean get back there?
What
And
do
that's
you
the
mean?
episode. Dun dun dun. Johnny, first time thoughts?
Who the fuck is Jeremy Bentham? And then I have Kate and Saeed helping reunite Ben and his people. What a fucking day. Walt visiting Hurley had another miraculous growth spurt. That kid is way outaged his role at this point. Hurley tells Walt they're lying to protect everyone who didn't come back. I had the same note about Charlotte saying she wants to leave after all the time she spent trying to get back there. Sawyer and Kate are so casual about murder these days.
Yeah.
This is super casual.
So is everyone.
Yeah. I have Sawyer whispers something to Kate. He's totally going to jump out of the chopper. And then he did. And I have, how is that dude not fucking dead? I think about Kimi because he should have been. And then he had a dead man switch for all that C4. Locke says, Ben, you just killed everybody on that boat. So?
Great. Yeah. Ben
Everybody's so casual about murder. Murder, death, kill.
Murder.
Murder.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed this, but Saeed gives Kate this weird look after Kimi is killed and she's helping him up. I don't know if you noticed that at all. I did not understand it one bit. Like, she's looking at him like, yay, he's dead, and he gives this look back and she's like, what?
I think I took it and maybe he was just surprised that she was so nonchalant about it. Like, just did what had to be done.
I thought maybe they were communicating something else, though. I don't know.
I think it was Saeed taking notes. Oh.
Hmm.
Kate won't hesitate now.
Well, she didn't kill him. I forget who does the final blow, but yeah. Anyways, I just thought that was interesting. Taylor, any thoughts about this one?
I mean, this one, because of how they aired, is fully half an episode. It's impossible to differentiate.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just said what happens in this half, and I don't remember.
Yeah, we can talk about it all after this next one. So
yeah, as a whole.
I'll just get into part 3. Flash forward. Saeed breaks Hurley out of the hospital, who's having a chess game with Mr. Echo. Totally normal. Sun runs into Mr. Widmore in London and gives him her card and say they have a shared interest. Kate has a dream that Claire tells her not to bring Aaron back. Jack breaks into the funeral home and Ben shows up and opens the casket. Ben tells him in order for them to go back, they all have to go back, including Locke, who's in the coffin and is Jeremy Bentham. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun,
On
dun.
the island / chopper / boat. I don't know. There's so many
In the
places.
present.
Yes. Kimi dies and sets off the bomb. Michael freezes it more. And right before he dies, he sees Christian, who tells him he can go now. And so Sun, of course, thinks Jin is dead. Ben goes down to the donkey wheel to move the island, and Locke goes to the others' camp. Sawyer swims back to shore to Juliet. How fitting. Finds out the freighter is blown up. The island disappears before the chopper can make it back, but they're safe on a life raft. And they spot a boat that's Penny's, and Jack tells them that they're gonna have to lie to protect the peeps on the island. And Penny and Desmond reunite. So cute. And they go to an island 3,000 miles away to drop them off so no one finds them. And that's it.
Again, at the beginning of this episode, I'm like, who the fuck is Jeremy Bentham? I have,
Were you
Chris.
shocked that it was Locke then?
I have at the very bottom. My last note is Jeremy Bentham is Locke, all capital letters, exclamation point, question mark, and Terabang and Terabang and Terabang.
Didn't they shoot that scene with a bunch of the different actors so they wouldn't give it away or something?
They shot it with also Sawyer and Desmond.
Yeah. Okay.
This was
Not
peak
crazy.
spoiler craze.
Mm-hmm.
Son's in London stalking Widmore. Back to the island they go. Ben, whoever leaves the island can never come back. Ben says his people will follow Locke's every word. Ben moves a wheel, it gets really bright, and the island just whoomp, gone. What the actual fuck? Kate gets a phone call. It sounds like reverse speech. I said, what the fuck? Claire's in Kate's house? Oh, she's dreaming, god damn it. Claire tells Kate she can't bring him back.
Never know anymore.
Don't you dare bring him back. The boat, Penny's boat, was named Searcher. Des and Penn reunited. Heart. This is where I got, like, they're actually together now.
He does have a soul.
Jack broke into the funeral home. Is Jeremy Bentham Ben? I said no, but Ben is alive, and he's there talking to Jack. And then I have Jeremy Bentham is locked. I just thought of this. When I read out, Ben moves the wheel, it gets really bright, and the island just whoomp, gone. Maybe it's an alien spacecraft. Is the island a UFO? One of my many, I'm also like, is it a demiplane of dread like Ravenloft? Is it a genius loci like Demon Reach? Like, what is it? What could it be? There's a lot of possibilities.
You know too many things, Johnny.
What makes you
Too
say
much
that?
sci-fi
Am I on the
fantasy
right
things.
track?
No, I'm saying, like, you know too many options.
Right.
I'm not saying you're on the right track or not.
What is that
Calling
bad
you a
thing?
nerd.
Oh,
No.
thanks.
I liked Sawyer saying, nice day for a swim to Juliet, which is the same thing he said to Kate when he was coming out of the water in season 1. So that was a nice little callback there. And once again, ironic that he's saying it to Juliet. Fucking Jack still denying things like the island moving. Like, Turley's like, the island moved, and Jack's like, no. And I'm like, well, you just saw it. Like, how did you miss that? I'll ask this to Johnny whenever he decides to reappear his face on screen. There we go. Perfect timing. Did you think that Jen and Michael are dead? What are your thoughts on them? You can actually predict it this time.
They can't be, right? Like,
Christian showed up to Michael, so
yeah, like, This was something I was thinking about Christian. So obviously his casket was on the plane when they crashed. Was there a body at the funeral? Like, did they actually bury Christian, or did they just bury an empty casket?
Oh,
I
the
think
funeral we see in
no.
the flash forward.
Yeah, I think nobody.
No, he says at the funeral, like, it's weird because there's no body.
Right. Okay, that's right. So maybe he's not dead anymore. Maybe the island brought him back to life. Maybe he's an angel. Maybe he's a demon. Who the fuck knows with this show? Could be anything. Could be a boat.
So what's gonna happen when they bring Locke back, who's dead?
I suspect that he's gonna be fit as a fiddle.
Magic Island.
You never know. All right, Taylor, now that we've gone through it, thoughts on the finale as a whole?
It's great. It was a really cool one. It brought together the whole season. This season felt like really, I don't know, like well planned out, right?
Cohesive.
The beginning is like, who are the Organic Six? And then what's going on with this? And who's Jeremy Bentham? And all these mysteries get set up. And for a show that people give a lot of shit for not giving a lot of answers, like they answer pretty much everything they set up in this season, except like, why does Charlotte want to get back to the island or whatever? And
yeah,
you know, there are obviously things that carry forward, but it's just so much of a like, you know, set up, payoff, set up, payoff, set up, payoff.
Yeah.
Really, really solid season. I remember if at the time you were like me and obsessed over the show and listened to the official podcast that Damon and Carlton did, they would always tease the big scene in the finale that was like the big twist that would be like written on different colored pages, and they wouldn't know, like, you know, this one had the people in the coffin and all that, and they would give them funny names like the snake in the mailbox and like things like that, and it would be like, oh, what's that going to be? And in this one, all season they were teasing like the crazy thing at the end of season 4 was going to be the frozen donkey wheel. And we're all like, what the fuck? That's more nonsense, right? Like every time. And then it was a literal frozen donkey wheel. We were all like...
Because no one would expect that.
No one would think that they were saying the real thing out in the open.
Yeah.
Because they had done 3 seasons of Mr. X. But I thought that was...
Yeah.
I remember at the time...
I remember that.
That was just for the diehards, because when it came on screen, it was only us going like, hey, wait. They said it was going to be a frozen donkey wheel, and then it was a frozen donkey wheel.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
I was wondering about that because I was on Ralph's Lanterns Live podcast on Wednesday talking about a figure that I don't have yet. But we were talking about Lost, because I mentioned, you know, we were covering season 4. I thought he said something about the snake in a mailbox and this and that. And I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? Snake in a mailbox. What did I miss? Now it makes sense.
Yeah, I think snake in the mailbox is the 2 guys in Antarctica. Penny's people that find the island. It's like the end of season 2, right? The post credits thing or whatever. Yeah, and they would have these names, and I'm pretty sure this is the only one that turned out to be literal, because you can't do that again.
Yeah.
Like giving up season 5, and they're just like, it's the this, and it's like, well, one was the Hala. That might have been the season 1. The bagel. They would call them crazy things. But
so smart.
The frozen donkey wheel.
Frozen donkey wheel.
What an amazing a misdirect in plain sight. We're just like, no way. But yeah, again, just the writing that to be like, oh, that's why when Ben wakes up in Tunisia, he's wearing that jacket, right? Because he came from a cold place, and that's why. I mean, by this point, with the frozen donkey wheel and the island moving, they have, for all intents and purposes, answered the polar bear thing, right? Polar bear shows up in Tunisia. Clearly, you need something strong that can survive cold weather to turn this wheel thing. That's how you get to Tunisia from the island, is by doing this thing where it's cold. And you're just like, Charlotte found the polar bear. This is how polar bears be. And then for all of eternity, people are like, well, they never answered the polar bear. Because they don't stop and say it, you know? It's just happenstance.
They also had a whole freaking zoo that they were using as a prison. Like,
yeah.
Right, where you understand that they were there for research to do a job, whatever. But like the skeleton with the Dharma collar thing, right? And then when you find out how one would get to the island or from the island to Tunisia, you're like, oh, great. Polar bears. Got it. But things like that would get answered amidst like 1,000 new mysteries, and like what we really care is who's in the coffin, and what we that was the big
like we still technically don't know who planted that plane, because they're both blaming each other, and they both have like evidence that the other did it, but we don't know.
And they could both afford to just buy a plane and throw it in the ocean, I guess.
And all the bodies.
Whitmore, I can see. Ben is the one I'm like, what is, like, it's not clear what Ben's position actually, like, he obviously has a shit ton of resources. Like, is he the head? Like, is he in charge of all of Dharma? Because with the fact
not
that
Dharma anymore.
The flame, like, obviously the company still operates, because with the fact that they got the supply drop in the first season, like, the infrastructure is still in place and it's still operating. So like, he has a lot of resources, like Bruce Wayne level. Like, what's the deal? We haven't seen anything about where
I don't think it's him that has the money. I think it's other people in charge. I don't know.
And he
I
just
can't
has
remember exactly,
like, full discretion to just do as he wills.
Yeah.
Right, but you see him like, doesn't he have that? I think it's the season where he shows up at the place and there's like the briefcase with all the passports and all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the season. Yeah, so he's got a lot of resources. He may not be the mastermind or whatever. But then too, at this point, season 4, you get like Christian speaking on behalf of Jacob, and they've built up Jacob so much where you're like, is there a Jacob, or is it just Ben, not wanting people to think he's in charge? Is he doing, like, there was all this,
or can
there was
Ben
a lot of mystery around like
see him or not,
the hierarchy,
because it was very unclear last season.
Right. Yeah, that brief shot with the thing with the like, apparently it was like somebody from the crew just sat in for a second.
That's right. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just, everybody's mysterious. Widmore's not mysterious. He's just a very, very rich guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably the least mysterious. Like, we don't really... I mean, there is the mystery. There we go. Your screenshot. Yep. There is the mystery of, how he feels like he owns the island. And it also seems like he used to be on the island. At least we get that impression. So there's that mystery to it too. And also, just like how he knows so much and why does he want the island. So other than that, he's just fucking rich as shit. And of course I was like, of course he knows Mr. Pack. I was like, all the shitty wealthy people in the world know each other.
Still true.
Go figure.
All these years later.
Still true.
That's still a real thing.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's just about it. I sadly had very, very few That's What They Saids for this season, so I decided just to not do it, sadly. There was like 5. So I was like, I'm gonna not. I'm sorry, everyone who loves our That's What They Said. I love them too, but like, I watched it 3 times and I still could not come up with more. I don't know why. Maybe just because
Pickens.
they had to move everything so fast that there's no room for Kayla to get her. That's what they said. So, yeah. Oh well.
Sad
But
day.
anyways, it's getting late. Anyways, Taylor, thanks again for joining us. Do you want to
Yes, thank you
tell
very much.
people what you have going on, where they can find you? You know, maybe you have a documentary
right
coming
here.
up.
You can find me right here. Yeah, we got a documentary about Lost coming out, and if you've listened to this 2-hour discussion of season 4, it's probably right up your alley. You're probably gonna like it. So it will be out by the end of the year, some way, shape, or form. gettinglostdoc.com will point you to our social media pages are the best way to follow at Getting Lost Doc on
Hi, Johnny.
Instagram, Twitter, and the Facebook. And yeah, it's premiering next month in LA. It's all sold out, but it's going to be a super fun time.
I'm so
And
excited.
then coming soon to wherever you rent movies. I think we don't know. We don't know where it's coming out. But we're finishing it up. I think it's pretty good. Pretty good movie. I think people will like it. If you like Lost, it'd be crazy if you don't like this documentary.
I'm sure people will love it. I think that's about it. I mean, you can follow us at GTFO channel on Instagram for any updates on what we're up to / memes on stories sometimes. Yeah. Lost every Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. Trek Retrek every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. I know, math. Johnny,
We've had we've had a couple of scheduling snafus, but we are set now for the premiere of season 2 of the Sundered Veil, the urban fantasy tabletop role-playing game that I run on the Diced Thespians Twitch channel. Will be Monday, September 2nd, Labor Day, at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
That's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. You're a Virgo. Yay.
If you want
Makes
to catch
sense.
up on season 1 of the Sundered Veil, all of season 1 is on Dice Thespians right now as video on demand. Because we just did a marathon a couple weekends ago of re-airing all of season 1. So, season 2 is pretty good, if I say so myself. I'm excited for that. It's so weird because we're done and over it and nobody's seen it yet. So like I keep thinking about going forward into season 3 and I'm like, people haven't even seen season 2 yet.
Wow.
So. Yeah, plus you recorded them a while ago.
We did. We recorded them a while ago and some personal things came up for people, but everything's all set now for us to hopefully
Fine
fingers
and dandy.
crossed. Yeah. Start airing on. We want to have it end right around Halloween.
Halloweener.
It's 10 episodes. So if we start on the 2nd, our final episode will be November 4th, the Monday after
There you
Halloween.
go. Perfect.
Should be fun.
Love. All right. Well, thanks everyone for geeking the F out with us. Until next time. We'll see you in another life, brother. Where'd I put my... Oh. Too late.
Too late.
Wait. There you go.
Thank you.
Bye.
Look at that beautiful thumbnail.
Oh, wait. We just gotta... Thanks,
Bye,
Allison. Thanks, everybody. Bye.